Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Church with another Climax set deck profile. This is actually one that I meant to do like closer to the set's release because I had this deck like updated really quickly. But regardless, we are here, we're doing it now, whatever. If you're just here for the list, it's right there and it's in the description, so leave a like on your way out, would be very much appreciated. And let's get into the deck itself. So, Legend Heroes, for the most part, are a deck that revolve around the use of three pretty powerful plays. Those three plays are Fairy King Oberon, who, much like Style Justice, lets us completely shut off our opponent's abilities of their monsters, which is pretty great, while having this big double attacker 927, which is really strong. We have this hero world quality item, Warrior Emperor Red Arthur, which will be a double attacker 5/2/5 that we can keep swapping into, effective equipment change. So it's very strong. Gives us defensive capabilities, and that double attack is always going to be very powerful on that body. And then we have King's Wave Caliburn Grief, which is a complete field nuke of all of our opponent's monsters and spells at counter speed. And when you combo that with Oberon, that includes getting past Soul Guard. So it's a pretty powerful combo. But all of these require getting a number of heroes into our drop zone. With Caliburn Grief and Red Arthur, it is 4 or more different heroes. And with Oberon, it's 7 or more heroes. It doesn't matter how many are different. So we have a number of cards in here that are around to help us reach that point. While we're waiting to get to that point, we need other monsters to hold down the fort. So we first have Valkyrie, Skuld, the Lamenter of the Future, which is a powerful size 3 with move and Soul Guard, and the ability to just cycle our hand while either controlling the top of our deck or messing with our opponent's next draws. Typically, I tend to go for messing with my opponent's draws because most of the time you're going to be comboing it with Valkyrie and you're going to be seeing all 3 of those top anyways. Then Valkyrie, Brilliant Brynhildr, is a 5/2/3 Soul Guard mover. Pretty simple, pretty basic, pretty nice. As mentioned before, with that discard fodder size 3, we are of course running Valkyrie All-Knowing Alwidol, that one card that you see in basically every Legend World deck. Its stats really do not matter, but it does have the hero attribute, which is very useful for this deck, and when it's discarded, we can gauge 1 and draw 1. Which is what I meant with Skuld, because since when we discard Valkyrie off of it, we're going to be drawing 2 of those top 3 and engaging the other. I don't really see much of a point in controlling my own deck whenever that happens, because the only thing I'm controlling is which of those 3 cards is going into the gauge, and that's much less valuable in my opinion than getting to control my opponent's top deck. To help us get to that state, we have a number of mill cards. First, we have a nice little present from Executioners. This is Hazel Emperor Jailer Alking. It's a hero, and it can give us a free mill 3. It can also pop a spell or item on your opponent's field, but that's not the reason we run it. We run it because it's a body that has no cost to mill 3, and then if we call over it with one of our size 3s or something, then we have this another hero in our drop zone, which is very, very handy. A new addition to help that mill game is Heroes Base Castle Camelot, which is, in my opinion, very similar to the set spells that Darkness Striker mode Black Dragons got recently, because it has an effect for when it's on the field, and then it has another effect that's also like equally strong for when it is destroyed, because that is always a problem with set spells in Hero, because Caliburn Grief is going to be destroying them. So during your turn, so basically this lets you excel your mill engine and excel your gauge whenever once per turn, whenever you call or equip any hero. And then, when it's destroyed by Caliburn Grief, you can search your drop zone for either a hero item or a Holy Grail, which is our primary nullify with the hero attribute. Very basic card, just nullifies an attack with our center open. With that hero attribute, it becomes very useful for getting our drop zone set up and being able to get it back off hero's base after using Caliburn Grief is very strong. But what item does it speak of? Well, this is the second part of the play that Red Arthur is a part of, which is Divine Sword Gallatin, which when Red Arthur is completely online, you can do the thing. You can do this thing where you swap into this during your attack phase. So you end up basically with triple attack, even though this will have lower overall power. Our secondary defensive card is Light of Guidance, which has the cast cost of discarding, which forces us to discard a card to use it, but we gauge one and then we reduce the damage to 0. So we're typically going to be using that to discard one of our 9 fodder size zeros here. Preferably one of these 5, because these 5 have powerful effects when used on our opponent's turn. First we have Valkyrie, Rota, the Caller of Blizzard, which on field gives a +1 buff to all of our other heroes. So that makes Oberon a 10k, it makes Red Arthur a 6k, very significant buffs. But when it's discarded, you can pay a gauge to destroy a size 2 or less on our opponent's field. So we discard this off of our Light of Guidance, we gauge 1, reduce that damage to 0, then we pay a gauge and pop off one of our opponent's size 2s. So it becomes a very effective play in that way. And similarly, we are running Aries, Starsentinel, Aries. Yes. So this is not a hero, unfortunately. It is a star. But when it's discarded, you can pay 1 gauge to pop off an item or spell. Very strong. I've considered swapping this out for the star size 0 from Climax, that when it's discarded you can rest swap your opponent's monsters, but I don't know. I'll probably end up doing that at some point, but for now I am sticking with Aries because it's very useful against stars in particular, because I want to be able to get my things back online. But yeah, we don't have much left in this deck, so let's go over these last few cards. First we have, as always, a personal favorite of mine that I always find summer to run in Darkness or Legend, except when it's Purgatory Nights, evidently. This is Darkness Rune, a very versatile spell. For 1 life, you can either gauge 2 at counter speed remove a soul, which has very powerful applications, or destroy a size 1 or less on your opponent's field. Very useful, very versatile. Next we have Illusion of the Void Deity, which allows us to protect a size 3 monster on our field from being destroyed once, and then we gain a life. Lastly, we have a new addition from the new set, Tevas Gard, which for 1 gauge lets us either stand a hero back up, or pay 2 life and then put 2 cards from our drop zone into the soul of one of our monsters. So this is a versatile card that can either battle extend, turning our like 11 damage boards with Oberon and Red Arthur and whatnot into 13 damage boards, and that extra 1 attack can be really helpful. It can make fields with Skuld or Brynhildr more pressuring, or when we're not on Oberon yet, we can use it with Skuld or Brynhildr to buff their soul and allow them to stick around for longer, to stall out until we get Oberon, or until Oberon is online. So it's very useful in that way. That is really all there is to say about Hero. Is a deck that still has issues with Oberon, because you need to be able to, if you can't draw into it, you're just going to have a bad time, because much of the deck is predicated on getting Oberon and being able to abuse its abilities. But regardless, it is still very powerful and a very potent deck. So with that said, thanks as always for watching, guys. If you would like to support this content and what I do, be sure to go check out my Patreon and subscribe if you want to get more of this juicy Buddyfight knowledge. Yeah, go check out some of my other videos, and this is Hunter Surge, signing off.